Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships with Captain Keys. Today we're going to be looking again at our friend Mkat X5 driving the Farragut, the Tier 6 American destroyer, and this is ranked Season 7 again. Now in the last video there was an emphasis on team play and on covering your allies, on not running off alone, on being a team player, and that's basically what this one's going to focus on as well. If you've been frustrated in your ranked games and you're wondering why is it that you never seem to be able to win, most of the time it's because of a lack of team play, and Mkat's going to do an excellent job of showing us how to drive your boat selflessly here to ensure a win for your team. So starting off, he immediately notes in chat that he's going B, and someone asks why, and he explains south does better in the south on this map, and he's absolutely right, because if you look at the islands that lead into A, for the southern team, they have that one big island that will cover their right side, and that's about it. And it's too tall for cruisers to shoot over. So basically, you have to come around that island and give broadside to everybody, and that generally doesn't work out too well. Contrast that with Point B. With Point B, sailing into the cap, you have a lot of low islands that your cruisers can dart in and out. You can fire shells over them. You have opportunities to break up incoming torpedo attacks. There's only certain lanes in which the enemy can shoot torpedoes at you and approach you, so B is generally the better option. So he kicks in his engine boost and starts steaming full speed towards B. The Farragut with a speed flag and engine boost running can hit 41.4 knots, which is very respectable for a Tier 6 destroyer. In fact, I believe only the Anshan can get any faster than that. And Mkat is definitely running his speed flag. He came to play. His torpedoes are almost up, but as usual with the Farragut, the initial reload isn't necessary because they're very short-ranged. And so he swings into the cap zone and starts capping. His ally in the Fuso says that he's spotted and some HE fire coming in from the Budyonny there, the Tier 6 Soviet cruiser. And Mkat throws the brakes, throws it in full reverse to try and stop before he glides out of the cap zone so that he can get this zone captured. He hasn't used his smoke yet, he hasn't been shot at yet, and he hasn't been detected. His AA guns are off in case they pop a spotter plane. He looks behind him, and the Fubuki, Spalding Smales? Interesting. Anyway, drops a smoke for the Cleveland and the Fuso, and then says 60 seconds on that smoke. The Fuso driver says K, he acknowledges that. Mkat then says, I will refresh it, to which Spalding Smale says thank you. So we already have a good example of communication on the team. The allied Perth, based upon the even numbers that his health is on, looks like he has already suffered a citadel penetration from one of the enemy battleships, so he has smoked up, and the Perth has that weird smoke that only lasts 10 seconds but deploys for 90, and yeah. So Mkat triggers his smoke screen. He's running full speed ahead to try and lay another line in front of this Fuso and this Cleveland. However, I initially thought he misplayed this a bit by triggering it too early, but it turns out he was right on target with what he wanted to do. I also thought he did it a bit early because the positioning would be wrong, but it turns out that was also correct. So he proves me wrong when I was first watching this. Allied Cleveland takes a big hit from the enemy battleship, unfortunately, so that's not good. And his smoke is down. The other guy's smoke has faded, and so the Fuso and the Cleveland now have a good US 120 or minute and 20 second smoke to hide in. The Perth, Allied Perth, oh, look at that Shinonome. Allied Perth is just tearing the Shinonome apart. Mkat fires one salvo at him, down to 561 health, and kills him. So maybe a little kill securing going on, but I'm not going to complain. You want to knock out every ship you possibly can, and a Shinonome, even on low health, is very, very dangerous. Fires a few shots at the enemy Fubuki, but then he drifts out of sight, and Mkat decides not to chase, which is the right call, and instead decides to avoid some torpedoes. Got torpedoes coming in from the Shinonome, got more torpedoes coming in on the right from who knows what. It's getting very torp soupish. So the allied Fubuki is up in front to spot, so is the Perth. The Perth has hydroacoustic search, not sure if it's running or not. Unlike the engine boost or smoke screen or something like that, there's no way to know if your ally is running hydro. Perth gets set on fire twice. He will probably damage control that. And Mkat's Cleveland and Fuso continue to shoot out of the smoke. Yep, Perth damage controls, drops some torpedoes, and is just trying to get the heck out of there because he's been dinged up pretty bad, and they're still shooting at him. So now they've lost a cruiser, probably that Cleveland earlier. I didn't get a chance to look at the scoreboard. They have killed an enemy destroyer, though. They did get the Shinonome, but it's pretty evenly matched now. The scores are right about even. They each have a cap zone. They're blobbed up over here. Enemy team's blobbed up over there. Mkat is continuing to give them notices in chat that his smoke is beginning to fade in 30 seconds, in 10 seconds, and now finally starting to fade. So Spalding Smails in the Fubuki refreshes it for them. Very, very well done to him. So the situation now is, like I said, a bit of a stalemate. They have one cap, the enemy has one cap. They continue to smoke each other. The enemy is mainly using terrain to stay hidden, but they are doing some collaborative smoking. Mkat's Fuso there, student driver, is in good shape. He's got a good amount of health, but he's coming under a lot of HE spam. And Mkat knows that Fubuki smoke doesn't last terribly long, and that guy's going to take a lot of damage from HE spam if he can't do something about it. So he kicks in his engine boost and starts driving towards the Fuso as fast as possible. Fuso is getting really laid on heavy with the HE, and if he gets a second fire, that could really start to stack up some damage against him. So Mkat charges in full speed ahead, engine boost running, full throttle, hits his smoke screen, and starts swinging towards the Fuso. And another one of those instances where I thought he misplayed, but it turned out to be the right call, he arcs hard right. Now, smoke does act as a wall, but the Fuso's concealment is just so bad that if anything manages to get behind the smoke wall, they could spot the Fuso for the enemy. So if he's not actually in the smoke, he runs the risk of being detected. However, he does in fact lay the smoke correctly and comes to smoke the Cleveland as well. And the last little puff of smoke is just enough to help the Cleveland out, I believe. 3 threes of torpedoes coming in, probably from the Fubuki. And the Fuso and the Cleveland are enjoying his smoke now. Again, they're still tied at 1 ship lost apiece. If you look at the minimap, the enemy's last recorded positions are all over the place, so probably not going to get much help there in surprising them. But he has laid a nice 60-second smoke, or 60 seconds more smoke for his allies. USN smokes are the longest lasting in the game, and you really need to focus on using them for team play. So at this point, we're 7 minutes in. He assisted in a base capture, and he fired and got 2 hits on the Shinonome, and that's really all he's done so far. But his team play has been phenomenal. I mean, his allies have been able to dish damage back out and not take nearly as much damage as they would have had it not been for his smokes. As you saw a minute ago, he comes around this flank and sees an enemy Leander, and that is not what you want to try and fight as an American destroyer. The Leander has relatively rapid-firing British armor-piercing guns that can tear a destroyer apart. It has good torpedoes. It has a heal. It has hydroacoustic search. It is a destroyer's nightmare. But when it's not running that hydroacoustic search, there's an American destroyer hunting you. Yeah. That's going to leave a mark. 5 torpedo hits completely wrecked that Leander all in one salvo, and he goes from 500 damage up to 38,000 damage just like that. Enemy Farragut on 2 health. He fires to try and, I don't know, get the kill secure? No, I think it was the right call to try and take him out, but doesn't manage to connect. However, the Fubuki does learn to use his guns and knock the Farragut out. So in a very short period of time there, I mean, less than a minute, they lost the Badioni? No. They lost, the Badioni, the Leander, Fubuki, and now they're down to just the Cleveland and their battleship, the New Mexico. And so now it's time to take the fight to them. Mkat's team could definitely sit here. There are no torpedoes, no torpedo ships on the enemy team, so it's very likely that, or rather, there's no chance of them getting stealthily torped or something like that and turning the game around with a huge torpedo salvo. They really could just sit and wait, because the Cleveland, the Cleveland is not going to be able to engage them at range that well because of its high arcs. The New Mexico has such a bad reload that it just doesn't have the DPM. So Mkat goes Cleveland hunting. And really, he's just trying to spot. I mean, you don't want to get into a gunfight with a Cleveland if you're in a destroyer. Every destroyer in the game should fear the Cleveland at close range, even the tier 10s. The Gearing and the Khabarovsk even, and the Z-52 don't want anything to do with the Cleveland. Not that that matchup would ever happen, since one's tier 6 and the other's tier 10, but you get my point. The Perth moves forward. He is very low on health, but again, at this point, it doesn't really matter. All he has to do is slow down a little bit, because no one's going to run in and spot him. There's no destroyers, no hydroacoustic search, no radar, nothing like that. So the Cleveland's trying to kite away, and, well, he doesn't really have many options left. He's being slowly whittled down by battleship armor piercing and some more high explosive coming in at him. Yeah, he's not having a very good day. Then Mkat gets an idea.
Engine boost activated.
And he sees this New Mexico. And you know what's coming, don't you? I mean, USN Destroyer using some terrain to help approach, kicks in the speed boost. It's the last guy alive on the team. If he dies, it's not going to hurt anything. So he goes full YOLO. Turns on the speed boost, angles his nose in. New Mexico has fired right there, and that's important because the New Mexico has a 34.6 second reload. It is the longest reload of any battleship in the game, other than maybe the Imperator Nikolai at Tier 4. Very unlucky RNG. First hit sets a fire. Second hit knocks out his engine, but Mkat is smart and is running last stand on his destroyer, so it lets his engine still work at reduced efficiency. Notice he only fires one set of torpedoes because he knows that it won't take both sets to kill, and in case this guy does any maneuvers, fires his second set because the guy does maneuver. A couple of hits there, and punches his ticket. And yeah, that's the Farragut, Tier 6 American destroyer. Again, notice it took him over 7 minutes before he actually did any appreciable amount of damage, but that's not the Farragut's role in ranked. You want to smoke your allies, you want to spot torpedoes, you want to stop other destroyers from contesting your cap. Those are the things the Farragut does. The Farragut is never supposed to be a high damage ship right off the bat, especially. So Mkat, once again, an excellent example of playing the ship to its strengths, communicating with allies, and that is how you teamwork. That's how you do ranked battles. And if you do that, you occasionally get some bones thrown at you like the Leander or the New Mexico. For a more in-depth discussion on the ship, stay tuned, and we will do some individual ship reviews. I know that the Farragut is definitely not a new addition to the game, but as time has gone on, patches and commander skill shifts and new trees have been introduced, and it's changed the competitive balance a bit. So a refresh and a revisit to some of the older ships I think is in order from time to time, and we'll be doing that with the Farragut pretty soon. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, this has been Captain Keys in World of Warships. Good luck this ranked season, and in general, good luck and fair seas.